All praises to the Most High in Christ. We're here to bring forth a lesson, and hopefully it will give some understanding. Through the Spirit of the Most High, I hope you can excuse some of the noise behind us. We tried to wait until it was done, but we have to teach the class, okay? We're going to go into multiple lessons if we have enough time. We're going to try to go into this, some understanding on Japheth. We're going to make we'll soon have a full study on it, but it was too good to hold back, so we thought we would give out some of the lesson now, so you can have it now, okay? Let me ask a question for you all out there. I know there's noise in the back, but can you hear me clearly? If you can, just type in that you can hear me clearly. Okay, well right now there's no noise. They just stopped for a second, but can y'all hear me now amongst the noise right now? Okay, good. Because when stuff is in my ear, it takes a little of the concentration away. But I just pray that the Most High just allow this lesson to go through, because it's very important information. Today, through the Spirit of the Most High, we're going to show you beyond any shadow of a doubt who is Japheth, and we'll show you how Esau inhabited Japheth. There's been a misconception or some real false teachings. There have been some false teachings out there that since the Jewish people are from Ashkenazi, that they are Japheth, because one of the sons of Japheth was Ashkenazi. And some scholars, biblical scholars, would like to go there. Of course, the Jewish people would deny that, because they are parading as the seed of Shem. But they don't mind people calling them Ashkenazi or Japheth, based on the fact that it masks who they really are. You're going to find out that they are, in fact, the seed of Esau or Edom, and in the Greek tongue, they call them Idumeans. Okay? So I'm going to go into some history to show you, and you'll need some detailed information. The information you'll need is the Apocrypha, of course. You will also need the book of Jasher. You need the book of Jasher, and also the King James Version Bible. Okay? Now, for those who might not think that the book of Jasher is not canonical, or it's a book that we have never read before, for some of you who might excuse me, be just coming around. Thank you, brother. The reason you don't know the book of Jasher exists is because the Roman Catholic Church, which is behind the canonization of our Hebrew records, told you that you shouldn't read the book. The reason they told you shouldn't read the book is the book identifies some key details that will take you out of the spirit of following what we would call mainstream religion. If you get the information of what happened in Genesis yourself and what happened in the Bible yourself, that takes away the structured teachings that are set up to program the people. But just so you'll know that the book of Jasher is Bible-based, before we go into the lesson, we're going to go to a few scriptures that refer us to the book of Jasher. I need you to get the book of Joshua. the book of Joshua 10 and 13, and 2 Samuel 1 and 18. Now we do this so that if you go into the book, you know the book is biblical. Okay, it's a book of records. Jasher means the upright ones, the book of the upright. Okay, and the kings of the earth and the priests of the earth left record in detail that links directly with Genesis. And without the book of Jasher, you cannot get a detailed understanding of what happened in Genesis. Genesis is an overview. So, let me first prove the validity of the book of Jasher. I need you to go first, and we talk about the book of Jasher. We're going to do this quick so we can hit the lesson. Read Joshua 10 and 13 for me, please.
Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher?
Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So if the book of Jasher was not exact or biblical, the Bible would not refer to it. So obviously, Joshua knew about the book of Jasher. It was the records of his forefathers. It's the record of our forefathers. Okay? And mind you, we don't need the Catholic Church telling us what we can read when it comes to our forefathers' records. Who are they to tell us that we can't read what our grandparents left us? So it was wrong for them. Who gave them the authority to canonize anything? We shouldn't have to prove whether or not it's validity or whether or not it's correct. We shouldn't have to prove that. But we have to because they put roadblocks or snares in a way to stop people from going into certain records that would expose their religion. So it's written in the book of Jasher. Let's go to 2 Samuel 1 and 18.
2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18.
Go ahead.
Also, he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow.
Teach them the use of the bow. Because Jacob was known for using the bow, even in his old age. Jacob, our forefather, whose name was turned to Israel, he was excellent with the bow and arrow. So he said, teach Judah how to use that bow. Read.
It is written in the book of Jasher.
It's written in the book of what?
It is written in the book of Jasher.
It is written in the book of Jasher. Once we pull out this information out of Jasher, you'll understand the reason your Christian church and your churches and your governments will not let you go into these records. They will explicitly tell you not to go in these records. But in certain levels of masonry, when people get to certain degrees, we found this out through some research, they give them the book of Jasher after they get to certain degrees. Why? To show the so-called elite or the people who are illuminate, to teach them the information and show them who they're really fighting against and who they're really fighting for. They give them this information. This is the battle between good and evil. So they detail, they really delve into this information to find true history. Our history, especially in America and throughout the world, have been distorted, especially in America. So if you go in the book of Jasher, you can get the biblical history correct. What happened, who's who, the whole nine. So, we're going into who are the Japhetic people. And I'm saying that we have to identify them because you have some people hiding under that. Here's a picture or a map that the brother printed out for us of Asia. You see up there in the corner? It says Asia. And if you notice Russia is there, of course, of Asia. You see up there in the corner? It says Asia. And if you notice, you notice Russia is there, Europe is there, you got China on the bottom there. But as you can see, the European isles and the European countries are under Asia. Under Asia. Now, there could be a conflict because we see Europeans in these areas. We see Europeans in those areas, but we see Chinese people and Japanese people all down in the other areas. But yet the landmass is connected. Can you see that clearly? We're going to show you that beyond any shadow of a doubt that the original Europeans, or the people that inhabited those isles, were and are Asians. There was one time that Europeans was not in this area. And people get this distorted when they use the word Ashkenazi Jews, because you have German or Russian Jewish people who came from Europe. They get it confused because these people were living in Europe. You might think they're Europeans. But here's a perfect example. If it was 1,000 years from now, you would think that America was the original Americans. If it was 1,000 years from now. Don't forget, when they established their country in America, they set up a founding father. They set up a constitution. They set up a new world. So if 1,000 years was to pass, they wouldn't teach you about the North American Indians. They would teach you about Christopher Columbus. They would teach you about George Washington, Ben Franklin. You would think that they were the original Americans. That's the same thing they did to the Chinese. Same thing they did to the Japanese and the Asians, or the Japhetic people who were originally in Russia, in Europe, in France, in Rome, in different areas. And we're going to prove that. We'll prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt. The Bible breaks down everything. Okay? You're going to find out that before Alexander the Greek, his father Philip was also conquering and fighting the Asians, moving them in the areas you see today. So the conquering didn't just start with Alexander the Greek. We go into Alexander the Greek because of the Bible prophecy of them taking down Persia. But before they had the strength to take down Persia, they had to take down the other lands within their region first. So we're going to show you how the Europeans inhabited Greece. We're going to show you how they inhabited Rome. We will show you how they inhabited Europe. Okay? But first, let's identify the Japhetic people. Let's go to Genesis 10. Let's go to Genesis 10. Now, this is some detailed, groundbreaking history here. So make sure you have your pen, papers, you write the scriptures, and then research it yourself. I need you to start, please, at the first verse.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. And these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
These are the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, Shem is who we all know today. They come from Abraham's seed. You got the Middle Easterns, like for instance, the Ishmaelites from Ishmael, which are in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and those areas. They're the sons of Ishmael. You got Jacob. You have Jacob, which is like the so-called Negroes uh, uh, that fled into Africa in 70 A.D., the North American Indians, the Israelites, they're from the seed of Shem. Then you have Ham. Do you have a Bible dictionary? Let's grab a Bible dictionary real quick. Okay, grab that for me. I'll finish. Then you have Ham. Ham is the father of the dark races. Okay, now that's where you might get it confused, because you see black people who came over to America from Africa. But they didn't start in Africa. They ran into Africa in 70 A.D. So just because you're dark doesn't mean you're from Africa. A matter of fact, I see dark-skinned Middle Easterns that look just as dark as Africans. Okay? Just as dark as Africans. All right? So we know that Noah, the progenitor of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, these are the people that lived through the flood. So the whole earth was inhabited through Noah and his 3 sons. So we know that Shem is the seeds of Abraham. Today, you have people like the Middle Easterns, you have the Israelites, and you have those families. You have Lot's families, which is Moab and Ammon. These all came out of Shem. Like your Palestinians, your Jordanians, people from Syria. These are all seeds of what you will call Shem. Then you have Ham. Get Ham out of the Bible dictionary.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
He was one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Read.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the father of the dark races. But what?
Not the Negroes.
Not the what?
Not the Negroes.
So even Zondervan, which is also of European persuasion, understands that the Negroes are not part of the 4 families of Ham. But yet they refuse to teach this in Christian theology. They'll tell you that the black people in America are from the seed of the cursed son Canaan of Ham. That he was cursed. They put that on our people. Cursed to be a servant of servants. No. The Canaanites are the modern day South Africans. The people that came over in cargo slave ships did not come from South Africa. They came from West Africa. West Africa, where the Lord had a space prepared for his people that fled from the Romans, from Israel, over the Atlas Mountains into Africa for a time until they were sold into cargo slave ships. Ham is the father of the dark races, but not who?
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes. The Negroes are not part of Ham. Okay? And because of that, when we went into Africa, there was a lot of tribal wars going on, because it was our people fighting against the Hamitic races who are already in those regions. The tribal wars wasn't the same families. It was one dark race fighting against another dark race. Like in Egypt, it was one dark race, the Egyptians, fighting against another dark race, the Israelites. Read on.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes, but who?
But the Egyptians.
Egyptians, Africans. Now that proves the Egyptians was dark, because it says here, Ham became the father of the dark races. The Egyptians were originally, and they are, dark. I'm talking about before the Ishmaelites and the Arabs started migrating into the area of Egypt, and the Greeks under Ptolemy started coming over here, migrating and bringing people over into Egypt. Before that, you had Nubians, which were dark-skinned Africans. Okay? And they wanted to hide this fact. They wanted to hide that. They started trying to migrating and bringing people over into Egypt. Before that, you had Nubians, which were dark-skinned Africans. Okay? And they wanted to hide this fact. They wanted to hide that. They started trying to shoot the noses and pick the noses off of the Sphinx. They started desecrating some of the history in Egypt. They didn't want the black people that were enslaved to relate themselves to anything royal. And they wanted that disconnect. They didn't want the people in America, especially the dark-skinned people, to know that they once ruled in Egypt. So they had to flood Egypt with all different families of people, Arab people and Greek people, and then change the history books of Egypt and change certain times and dates so that you would not know that you ruled dynasties in Egypt. All this to try to keep some key information from a people. These people must be special to go through all this to hide the fact that they are the people written of in the Bible. Read.
But the Egyptians.
But the Egyptians, they are Africans. Go ahead.
Ethiopians.
Ethiopians, they are Africans. Read.
Libyans.
Libyans, which are North Africans, like the Sudanians and things of that nature. Read.
And Canaanites.
And the Canaanites, which are the South Africans. These are four separate families identifying Ham, or the Africans. And guess what? The Negroes in America cannot say they come from either of those four families. As you can see, West Africa is not even mentioned as a part of where the four sons resided. That place was prepared for the Israelites that fled out of Israel into Africa. And when you look at the maps, Israel is connected to Africa. It's right there next to Africa. Okay? So now we identified Ham. We identified Shem. Let's see if we can identify Japheth. Go back to Genesis 10.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were born sons after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai.
So let's go to Gomer first. Gomer, and I went over this with some of the brothers and sisters over here, so if you already have this information, y'all can write it down, but there's some new key information we're going to bring too. The sons of Japheth, Gomer. Gomer is what you would call modern day Ukraine. Modern day Ukraine. Read.
And Magog.
And Magog. Magog is around Turkey. So these are all Russian areas. Okay, read.
And Madai.
And you have Madai, which is modern day Persia. Persia, which is Iran. When the Lord says that Japheth shall be in the tents of Shem, you got the Iranians amongst the Middle Easterns, and everyone thinks they are Arabs, but they're really from the seed of Japheth. That's why China is protecting them. They're brothers. Read.
And Javan.
Then you have Javan. Hold on, let me get that here. Javan is modern day Kittim, just remember that, Cyprus or Greece. So Greece is Javan. Now you see Greeks today, you might think, well, okay, they must be from the seed of Japheth that they're living in the land. We're going to prove that's not so. The children of Japheth was pushed into China and the Asian areas you see today. Read.
And Tubal.
And who?
And Tubal.
And Tubal, which is modern day Armenia. These places are in Europe near Russia. Who else?
And Meshach.
And Meshach. Meshach is all Meshach is Turkey. Magog is Russia or parts of Russia. Read.
And Taras.
And who?
And Tyrus.
And Tyrus. Tyrus is modern day France. If you don't believe me, take these names. If you got a computer, Google them and you can see their landmass, or get an ancient map and you'll be able to match the landmass today. That's Tyrus, T-I-R-A-S, is modern day France. That's France. Read.
Verse 3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Raphath.
So now we're going into it. The sons of Gomer is who?
And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz.
Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is Germany. Ashkenaz is Germany. Okay? So because the Jewish people came out of Germany, you might think they're Ashkenazi Jews. But what were they before they went into Ashkenaz? We're going to get it. Read. Ashkenaz, then who?
And Rephath. And Togarmah.
And Togarmah. Let me get that real quick. Togarmah is modern day Armenia. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the sons of Javan, Elishah, and Tarshish. Tarshish, as we know, because it says the ships of Tarshish. Let me get that here. One moment here. Tarshish is modern day Spain. Tarshish is Spain today. Read. Kittim.
Did we get Elisha yet?
Oh, yeah.
You got Elisha?
Yeah.
What verse did we get Elisha?
Verse 4.
4 is Elisha. That's Britain or Britannica. Britannia or Britain is Elisha. And you got Spain, which is Tarshish. Go ahead.
Kittim.
Kittim, as we know, is also parts of Greece. If you look at Greece, it's not just Cyprus part. There's other islands that connects to Greece. Cyprus is like the capital. Go ahead.
And Dardanum.
Dardanum would be Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, Bulgaria, those areas. Now you notice all those areas are modern day European or Caucasian. But that wasn't always so. Go ahead.
Verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land.
It says, by these was the isle of the Gentiles divided in their lands. Now the reason it says the isle of the Gentiles, the isle or the seas between Africa and Asia and Europe is what? All Gentiles. You got the Egyptians on the Mediterranean Sea side of Africa. And on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, on the Isles, you have, it used to be the Asians. Now, at this time, there was no Caucasian people born in the earth. During Genesis the 10th chapter, there were no Caucasians in the earth at that time. You had Ham, which were the African people. You had Shem, which were the Israelite or the fathers of the Israelite people at that time, in the beginning. Okay? You had Shem, which would father the Israelites, and eventually the white people would come out of Shem and the Caucasians. And you had the Asian peoples from Japheth. In the beginning, there was no Caucasian people. We're going to show you how they came on the scene and how they inhabited Europe. Go to Genesis 25. Now we have to go into this information, and the reason we go into this information, if you don't know this information, your concept of scripture and history will be totally distorted. And we have to identify them and identify the people who have distorted history. We also have information coming to prove to you that the people we call the Jewish people today are under an even greater curse than the rest of the Europeans. But that's a separate lesson. That's a separate lesson. Okay? Let's go to Genesis 25, and let's show where the Caucasians, or the father of the Caucasians, came on the scene. We identified Ham, Shem, and Japheth. We're going to start at Genesis 25, and we're going to skate through this because we have too many lessons on this. But we want to escape. It's imperative that we at least give you an overview with it real quick so that you'll understand how this fits together. Go to Genesis 25, and let's start at 21. I heard Isaac's prayer, and she conceived. She got pregnant. Read.
Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her womb. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Most High.
So there was two children in her womb. They was fighting together. So she's asking they were fighting against each other. Excuse me. She's asking the Most High, if you have blessed me when I cannot have children, why am I going through so much pain? So she went to talk to the Most High God about it. These children were fighting day and night in this woman's womb. Read.
Verse 23. And the Most High said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
So for the first time in history, the Most High was bringing two separate nationalities out of one race of people. No other time in history did this happen. Usually you are what your father is. But he said, two nations are in thy womb. Nations is short for nationality. And he told this woman, they are to be separated from birth. From birth, separate them. They were fighting in your womb. What are they going to do when they come out? They're going to fight. Read.
And the Most High said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Two manner of people shall be separated from the time they come out of your womb. So they wasn't identical twins you're going to find. They was what you would call paternal twins. They were paternal twins, okay? Read.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
And he told the woman, one people shall be stronger than the other people. So you will have one people that are more stronger. They would have that physical prowess. They would be spiritually strong. They would be stronger than one. Read.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And the first one that comes out is to be a servant to the younger child. Read.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
And when her days to be delivered, what the Most High showed her came to pass. There were twins in her womb. Read.
Genesis 24 and 25. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment.
The first came out red all over like a hairy garment. They say red because the blood showed forth through the skin. There's no such thing as black people per se. There's brown people. And there's no such thing as white people. There's red people. Okay? This paper is white. That's white. Okay? So this is a signifier. This is an indicator. This nation, outside of all the other nations that were born in the earth, you can identify them by them being red. That's the nation of Edom. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Read.
And they called his name Esau.
And they called his name Esau. So he was one of the sons of Isaac. He was one of the sons of Isaac. But don't forget, he's the firstborn. It said in the verse prior, the elder shall serve the younger. So this child came out. It was meant to be a servant to Jacob. From the beginning, before they were born, it was meant that the second child would receive the promise. And what came out after Esau?
Genesis 25 and 26. And after that came his brother out.
Now you notice it did not identify his brother. Why? Because his brother looked like everyone else. There was nothing that separated or differentiated Jacob from the rest of the people. So there was no need for an identification as far as the physical. But Esau had to be identified because he was different. And then came his brother Jacob out. Jacob is the son of the promise. He's the one that the Most High God promised that his older brother would serve. Now you understand that fight in the womb. They were fighting for the dominion and power and the promises promised to our forefather Abraham. So Esau thought he had it because he came out first. But no. The Lord says the elder shall serve the younger. Read.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
His hand took hold of Esau's heel. So they were fighting all the way from the woman's womb. They were still fighting when they was pulling her out, pulling the babies out of the womb. And Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. Don't forget, the head is the top, that's the head, and the foot is the end. Read.
And his name was called Jacob.
And his name was called Jacob. Now why did Jacob take hold of his brother's heel? That's significant. Go to 2nd Esdras in your Apocrypha. Here it is right here. You got one? Okay. Go to 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, 6 and 9. Second Ezra 6 and 9. Read that.
2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 9.
Okay.
For Esau is the end of the world.
Start at the 8th verse.
2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him.
Same thing we're reading in Genesis 25. When Jacob and Esau was born of Isaac. Read.
Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. What is this signifying? Read the next verse.
Verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world.
So at the end of the world or rulership, or in end times, Esau would be ruling. Esau is the end of the world. So at the end of the world, Esau would have dominion. Now mind you, the promise that the elder shall serve the younger have not been fulfilled yet. Esau is the end of the world. So who's ruling in the end? Esau. The EU, the European powers, they're ruling. They're the end of the world. So I don't understand how people are teaching out there that Esau got destroyed somewhere and he's just disappeared off the face of the earth, when the Bible says he's at the end of the world. And who followeth?
2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. To show you that once Esau fall, Jacob's rule will happen without separation. That's what it signified, his hand taking hold of Esau's heel. There's no separation. The head came out, that's the beginning. The foot is the end. And no sooner as the foot fall, the hand of dominion of Jacob. Judah holding the scepter, ruling under Christ and the 12 disciples. And at that time, when Jacob is set up, after the end of this world, the prophecy will be fulfilled in Genesis 25 of the elder serving the younger. Now, if you believe that Esau is not in the earth or have been destroyed like some people are teaching, at what time did this prophecy get fulfilled that Esau served Jacob? Where is it? It hasn't happened yet. You're going to find out that Esau is ruling the world. And we're going to identify how they got into Europe and sometimes hide themselves under the seat of Japheth. And I wonder, why? There's nothing wrong with it. If it doesn't matter who you are and everybody's the same, why hide the fact that you're Esau? Why hide it? If everything is fine, why identify the black people as Ham, identify other people according to the Bible who they are, but never identify Esau? Why? Because there's a pending judgment. There's a pending judgment. And I notice in the churches, they defame Jacob. They call Jacob the deceiver in the churches. Why? Who set up the churches? They make Jacob out to be the bad guy when the promises was given to his mother before he was born. It wasn't his fault. He got the promises. It wasn't his fault. He was born to have the promises. They try to blame him like, oh, he was the deceiver. He was the evil one. Okay? Now let's get into it. Later down when you read in the chapter, it shows you that Esau took hold of this red pottage. Okay? He ate rare food, and therefore he was called Edom from that day. Edom means red. When you read the next chapter over, is when Jacob, the next two chapters is when Jacob actually received the. When you read the next chapter over, is when Jacob. The next two chapters is when Jacob actually received the blessing from his father Isaac on his deathbed by putting skins on his hand and posing as Esau so that he can get what was promised to him before he was born. Okay? Now Esau was totally upset. He was fighting since he was in the womb for this birthright, for this blessing. And at the very end, he lose it to his brother. So because of that, indignation fell in Esau's heart against his brother Jacob. And he said, once the days of my father is finished and my father die, I'm coming after Jacob. This is what they're thinking. If we destroy Jacob, we can set off Bible prophecy. If we take Jacob out of the way, we are the firstborn by default, therefore we'll keep the kingdom. They were deceived into thinking that. But let's go into identifying how they actually got into Europe. Okay, they didn't start in Europe. A matter of fact, let's see where Esau resided. Go to Genesis 36. Let's go to Genesis 36. Let's go to Genesis 36. Let's start at the first verse.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who was Edom.
Hold on 1 second here. One second. I got to line one more up here. That's it. Okay, I got it. All right, we go into Genesis 36 to show you where Esau originally inhabited. Read the first verse, read it.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who was Edom.
So Esau is Edom. Okay? Read on.
Verse 2. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan.
Esau took the wives of the daughters of Canaan. Now, you might wonder, well, hold up. If Esau is the red ones or the Caucasian, how can he lay down with a Canaanite or what we would call a South African, which are dark-skinned sons of Ham, and begot Caucasian or white children, when the dark skin is the predominant color? That if a dark-skinned person lay with a Caucasian, usually there's some hue to the child. They get darker. We're going to show you what happened in Canaan so that that curse can continue in the earth, so that Esau cannot hide himself amongst the people. We're going to show you what happened. Actually, the places where Esau linked in with Canaan were struck with leprosy, so the people turned the same color. So when Israel was on their way into Canaan, the Most High told them how to take the leprosy out. Go to Genesis, the 13th chapter, Genesis 14. Genesis 14. And read the verse 34. So Esau started linking in with the Africans, but he couldn't take that mark off of him. He went amongst some of the Canaanites, and the Canaanites were struck with leprosy. Leprosy is not what they're teaching in a lot of these institutions which were set up by the same people. Leprosy is when you get a spot or start turning real white, and then it spreads through your whole body. Once you become totally looking Caucasian, the Bible calls it a clean leper. A clean leper. So when people went into these areas that was cursed, they had to go to the priest to get the curse off of them so that they can turn their hue back. We see people like that today. They get one little white spot and then it starts spreading through the body. That's what happened in the land of Canaan. So these are the people or wives that Esau ended up taking, and the Most High just turned her just like him. Read Leviticus 14 and 34.
Leviticus chapter 14, verse 34.
Go ahead.
When ye be come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession.
He says, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession. What is leprosy? Hold that and get Numbers. Get Numbers 10 and 12. What is leprosy according to the Bible? Let's see what leprosy is. Numbers 10 and 12. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
12 and 10. That's the one I want. 12 and 10. With Miriam, Moses' sister. Read that.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle.
Go up 2 verses up.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 8.
That's it.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Most High shall be beheld. Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So right here, I don't want to read the whole story, but right here, the Most High is coming down on Aaron and Miriam, Moses' sister and brother, because they're speaking against him for picking up an Ethiopian wife. So they started speaking against him, and the Most High says, listen, I wasn't dealing with you. How dare you go before him and try to blame him for something when the Most High used him to help you? The Most High was supposed to deal with him. So what the Most High did was he struck Miriam with leprosy. It's going to show you that. And put her outside the camp for speaking against the anointed of the Most High. Read it.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 8. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches.
And not in dark speeches. That means when it comes to Moses' understanding, the Most High made it clear to him, not in dark speeches, like some people may go through the scriptures and it's dark to them. The Most High was able to deal directly with Moses where he could understand. He told Miriam, listen, I wasn't dealing with y'all like that, so how can you speak against them? Read.
And the similitude of the Most High shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So he told Miriam, was you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Read.
Verse 9. And the anger of the Most High was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous.
She became what?
Miriam became leprous.
She became leprous. What is leprous?
White as snow.
White as snow. That's talking about her skin turning. Her skin turning. Like what? Like you see today. You have a dark-skinned person, they get that little thing in them, then it spreads through their body. That happened to Miriam. To show you the curse of leprosy is skin changing. Okay? Go back to Leviticus 14, because I just wanted to show you, when you come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in the house of the land of your possession, and it told them how to do it. How to get the leprosy out of your house, how to get it from amongst the people. Why? Because Esau, before Israel actually came into the land of Canaan, was linked in with the Canaanites, or what you would call, in some scriptures, the Kenites, and started having children with them. But the Most High wanted that nation to continue with the same look of their father, Esau. So he cursed that area with leprosy so that the black people that Esau was dealing with would turn like him. So his children, which are through the father, would come out looking exactly like Esau. You can read this in Leviticus, the 13th and 14th chapter. Okay? Go back to Genesis 36. The black people that Esau was dealing with would turn like him. So his children, which are through the father, would come out looking exactly like Esau. You can read this in Leviticus, the 13th and 14th chapter. Okay? Go back to Genesis 36.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 2.
Read.
Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan.
Go down to the 8th verse. Show you where Esau dwelt. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir.
Esau originally was in Mount Seir. It was the mountains not too far from Israel, right next to where Dan was inhabited, the little area Dan was inhabiting. So originally Esau did not have any land mass. They were promised the mountains, the Mount Seir. See, and that makes you understand why any land they possess, they have to take. Ham, Shem, and Japheth had land that was divided to them right after the flood. If Esau had land already, there would be no need for them to go to different lands and take land and discover land. That should click in you. That should give you some understanding of why they act the way they act and go into different lands and take it. They didn't have a land. They didn't have the land of Japheth. They had Mount Seir. Now the question is, if there's no people today in Mount Seir, where did they go? What happened to these people that inhabited Mount Seir? Read.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Esau is who?
Esau is Edom.
Esau is Edom. Read.
Verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir.
And it's showing you that he's the father of the Edomites. So his children, because the seed comes through the father, according to the Bible, are called Edomites. That's who they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's who you are. That's just like Israel is Israel, Ishmael is Ishmael, Japheth is Japheth, Ham is Ham. We're just identifying Esau right now. And we're doing it because Esau is right now claiming to be Israel. It wouldn't be a big deal if they wasn't claiming to be Jacob. Esau is claiming to be Israel right now. So we must put it out there and give you the history of how they inhabited the areas. Okay? Now, I need you to go down, read the next verse.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 10. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashemoth, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zapho, and Gatam, and Kenaz.
Let's stop right there. Now you got Zapho. Zapho is prominent in history, and we're going to get him out of the book of Jasher. Okay? But then you have Eliphaz and Teman. You got Teman, which would be today the modern day Germans that's living in Germany today. When did they get there? We're going to show you. We're going to show you how they got from Mount Seir into Europe. Teman was the one, is their wise man. He dealt with their technology and ingenuity. Okay? But we're going to go there. So we have Zapho, right? I need you to read the 12th verse before we go into Zapho.
Genesis chapter 36, verse 12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
She bare to Eliphaz who?
Amalek.
Amalek. In a class coming soon, we can't break down everything in one class. We're going to show you that Amalek is the father of the people we call the Jewish race today. Before they converted to Judaism, they were the seed and are the seed of Amalek. That's the same seed that Saul was supposed to cut off and let one of the kings go, and the Most High took him down because of that. Amalek has this battle against the children of Israel, and this battle is never ending. Amalek took up the promise of his father Esau. Amalek also developed a secret society of masonry or masons so that they can have a secret society to continue the promise of Esau. The promise would be to destroy the Christ coming in the earth and Christ's people. That's the real understanding behind the masonry. It's a Luciferian doctrine that opposes the children of Israel in the earth today. And they know this. People of high degrees have set up all these religions to pinpoint and to target one people in the earth. But that's a whole nother lesson. Amalek is the Jewish people. Okay? Now, let's go into some quick history. Now, if you're history buffs and you like the Bible and the research of the Bible, this class is for you. I understand some people, you're looking for the spiritual food. We're going to give you that too. But you need to know some of these things. You need to be able to delve into the Bible and identify nations, identify yourself, and understand where we are in history. Your history was distorted for a purpose. You were lied to for a reason. Okay? So we must give you this information to research yourself. Your historians are not going to give it to you. Your historians are the same people that shot the noses off the Sphinx. Okay? They're put in place to keep you from finding this information. Or they'll just tell you over and over again, and that's also sorcery, when they say the same things over again and make you believe it. You hear this enough, you start to believe it. It doesn't matter. 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 Then next thing you know, you're repeating it. You know what? It don't matter. It doesn't matter. If it don't matter, why was it written? It matters to us. So we're going into now to show you how Esau inhabited Europe. Follow us. You will need your book of Jasher. You got it? Okay. I'm going to pull mine up here on the screen, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, we're going straight from Genesis 36, and we will first identify Zepho or Zepho. Okay? Let's get him. Okay. Let's go to the book of Jasher, the 56th chapter. Genesis 56. Let's go to Genesis 57. I mean, Jasher, yeah. Excuse me, Jasher 57, yes. And follow us. Now, don't forget, I didn't go into the full detail, but Esau would fight against his brother. They was fighting from the womb. So let's get some detailed understanding of what happens next. Go to the book of Jasher, the first verse. Read.
Jasher, chapter 57, verse 1. And it was after this that the sons of Esau waged war with the sons of Jacob.
So Esau started waging war with the sons of Jacob. Don't forget, Jacob is the promised seed. Go ahead.
And the sons of Esau fought with the sons of Jacob in Hebron. And Esau was still lying dead and not buried.
Go ahead.
And the battle was heavy between them. And the sons of Esau were smitten before the sons of Jacob.
So Jacob destroyed a lot of them. Started killing them in war, because Esau, every time you look, when Jacob would go out, Esau would try to ambush Jacob. Okay? So they would pick a fight with Jacob over and over and over again. Jacob, it tell you in Genesis 25, Jacob was a smooth man. I mean, he dwelt in tents. He don't like all that action. He don't like to, be all out there like that. Sometimes Jacob would be minding his business, and Esau would come behind and do something, kill the women and elderly, and just duck somewhere and do all things like that. So here's another account where Jacob is dealing with their business, and Esau jump out against him again. Read.
Verse 2. And the battle was very heavy between them.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Esau were smitten before the sons of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Jacob slew of the sons of Esau 80 men. And not one died of the people of the sons of Jacob.
Not one died of Jacob in this war. Don't forget, in Genesis 25 it says the elder shall be stronger. I mean, the younger shall be stronger than the elder brother. So they struck many men of Esau, and not one of Jacob died in this war. Read.
And the hand of Esau prevailed over and the hand of Joseph prevailed over all the people of the sons of Esau. And he took Japheth, the son of Eliphaz.
And they took Japheth, the son of Eliphaz. Now this was during the same period, the beginning of the Hyksos period, when Joseph and his brothers were ruling in Egypt. So after this war, they took Japheth and did what?
And the hand of Joseph prevailed over all the people of the sons of Esau. And he took Japheth, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and 50 of his men captive. And he bound them with chains, and gave them and gave them into the hand of his servants to bring them into Egypt.
So they captured Japheth at this war. Japheth is the son of Esau, we read in Genesis 36 chapter, right? Then after that, they brought him into Egypt. Now this is the time that, don't forget, Joseph the dreamer went into Egypt. He got a ring for saving Egypt and was second only to the king. And he was ruling Egypt, him and his 12 brothers. That was before Israel was a nation of people. They get in this fight and take Japheth, Esau's grandson. What happens to Japheth next? Read the third verse.
Verse 3. And it came to pass, when the sons of Jacob had taken Japheth and his people captive, all those that remained were greatly afraid for their lives from the house of Esau, lest they should also be taken captive. And they all fled with Eliphaz the son of Esau and his people, with Esau's body. And they went on their road to Mount Seir.
So they went back to the mountains after the fight. They were afraid to go and free Japheth. They was afraid that Joseph might take them too. At this time, and that lets you know the disrespect that they were dealing with. They got their father's, Esau's, dead body amongst them in this war. And they still fighting. So they took his body and they took him back to Mount Seir. Let's get the next one. Let's get where he escaped.
Verse 60.
Let's get when he escaped out of Egypt.
That's verse 60.
Chapter 60? 60 and 1, right? Let's get it. Now we see how Esau is now out of Mount Seir. You got Japheth in Egypt now, captive under Joseph. Let's go to the book of Jasher, the 60th chapter, and the first verse. Read that.
The book of Jasher, chapter 60, verse 1. And when the year came round, being the 72nd year from the Israelites going down to Egypt, after the death of Joseph, Japheth the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, fled from Egypt, he and his men, and they went away.
So Japheth had a band of men that was captive too. So they, after Joseph died, they found a way to escape out of Egypt. All right? Now, it's going to show you Japheth was very skillful in war tactics. It's going to show you this. Where did Japheth go next? Now, mind you, he's in Africa. He escaped out of Egypt. He's in Africa now. Where did Japheth go next? Go to the third verse. No, go to read the second and third verse.
Jasher chapter 60, verse 2. And he came to Africa, which is Dinhabah, to Angeas, king of Africa. And Angeas received them with great honor. And he made Japheth the captain of his host.
And he made Japheth the captain of his host. So if you want to look at the areas he escaped to, that would be near the modern day Sudan in Africa, which is right next to Egypt. Let's go straight to it. Okay. You at 61 now?
Mm-hmm.
Go down to the 8th verse.
Jasher, chapter 61, verse 8.
Go ahead.
And amongst the servants of Angeas was a youth 15 years old. Balaam, the son of Beor, was his name. And the youth was very wise and understood the art of witchcraft.
So they was dealing with witchcraft and evil back then. Read.
Verse 9. And Angeas said unto Balaam, conjure for us, I pray thee, with the witchcraft, that we may know who will prevail in this battle to which we are now proceeding. And Balaam ordered that they should bring him wax, and he made thereof the likeness of chariots and horsemen.
So they went into all this witchcraft and all that because Japheth wanted to consent to be able to fight against Egypt. Go down to, I don't even want to go into that. Read the 11th and 12th verse. Read the 12th verse where Japheth went after that.
Jasher chapter 61, verse 12. And when Japheth the son of Eliphaz saw that Angeas despaired of going forth to battle with the Egyptians.
When they seen that they couldn't win this war because the Africans were dealing with all that, witchcraft and all that. So they went to some type of seer to see if they could win the war. And he's like, nah. Japheth the son of Eliphaz saw that Angeas despaired of going forth to the battle with the Egyptians. What happened after that?
Japheth fled from Angeas from Africa. And he went and came unto Kittim.
He went and came unto where?
And he went and came unto Kittim.
He went to Greece next. This is the first connection between the sons of Esau and Europe. Get your map. Kittim is Greece, Cyprus. That's your first connection between Esau and Europe. Now I understand why they took the book of Jasher and they hid the book of Jasher from the people. It ties in the history of all the people of the earth. Now there's more. Go to the 13th verse.
Verse 13. And all the people of Kittim received him with great honor.
All the people of Kittim, which we know are Asians. The whole land was Asia. Go ahead.
And all the people of Kittim received him with great honor. And they hired him to fight their battles all the days. And Japheth became exceedingly rich in those days. And the troops of the king of Africa still spread themselves in those days. And the children of Kittim assembled and went to Mount Cuptizia on account of the troops of Angeas, king of Africa, who were advancing upon them. And it was one day that Japheth lost a young heifer, and he went to seek it. And he heard it lowing round about the mountains.
Okay, let's stop there because it goes into all types of details of how he became great in the land of Chittim. We don't want to read the whole story. We're just showing you how they got there. There's more. There's more. I want to go into the one that shows their presence in Rome.
24 and 25.
Huh?
Verse 24, 25.
24 and 25. So that's Greece right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the one in which we can show how the Edomites first went into Rome, which was originally Asia. If you notice, Russia and all those European isles are connected right next to China. A matter of fact, the people, which are the Mongols near the mountains, are dark-skinned Asians. They're the residue of the Japhetic people that were in the land. And I'm going to tell you this too. Don't be deceived and think that Russia is separate from the rest of his brothers. Okay, he's just playing both sides of the fence purposely, but he was planted there as one of the brothers of Esau. Okay, he's not against America like that. They're together. I'm talking about the rulerships, the rulers of America, which is really Europe. Europe controls America. Okay? The Jewish people fund the Russians. That's why the Russians run loose all in America and over the drugs and all. They're the strong arm of Esau. But it's a whole nother lesson to go into. You got their priesthood, which are sorcerers, which are Amalek, the Jewish people. You got their strong arm or their mafia that fights all, do the dirty work through the seeds in Russia. Then you have the royalty of them, which are dukes and all that you can read in Genesis 36, up in Britain. They're the royalty parts of Esau. Then you have the wise men and scientists of Esau, which are in German, which is Teman. They're all working together in unison. While you thought there was a fight between communism and American democracy, while you was looking at this game they play on TV, the Russians and America was up in space building a space station together, together. While they have you thinking that they fighting against each other. No, that whole family are together for world domination. And they're together to stop Jacob forever receiving that promise that we read in Genesis, the 25th chapter. Let's go to how they inhabited Rome. What chapter and verse you're in?
Jasher, chapter 61, verse 24.
Hold on, let me get it with you. Hold on. It said 61 and 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one moment. $61. That's where you are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I'm using the screen here, so apologize for this. Okay. Let's go there.
Jasher, chapter 61, chapter 24. And the children of Chittim saw the veiler of Zaphon, and the children of Chittim resolved, and they made Zaphon king over them.
They made Zaphon king over them, so now we see Zaphon getting rulership in Greece. Before that, Esau was not in Greece. Esau was held captive in Egypt for a little time, Zaphon, after the war between Jacob and Esau. Then he fled into Africa to get a band of men to fight against Jacob. They dare fought against Jacob. So he had to go someplace else. He went over the Mediterranean eventually and got into Chittim and became over their armies. Read.
And he became king over them. And whilst he reigned, they went to subdue the children of Tubal and all the surrounding islands.
They went to do what?
And they went to subdue the children of Tubal and all the surrounding islands.
So once he got in charge, he starts subduing Tubal and all the islands around them. Did I pull out Tubal early on this? Tubal is Spain. Tubal is also, hold up, let me get Tubal, excuse me, 1 second here. One moment. Tubal, excuse me, is Armenia. Wanted to make sure I got a chart here. Tubal is Armenia, parts of Russia. So now they subduing things with their armies like they do, and once they destroy the people, they start bringing their people in. So whose brothers are hearing about this? You know he's sending word back to his brothers that he's over this area. And he's using them in his armies. They subdue they subdue the area, then they start moving in. And slowly but surely, take over. Okay? That's how Alexander the Greek did it. That's how Alexander the Greek's father did it. They get in through their armies and through warfare, because the Most High, the only blessing that Isaac could give Esau was the blessing through the sword. He says, listen, I can't give you anything because your brother took everything. But the only blessing I can give you is that you're going to live through the sword. You will be good with weaponry. That's in Genesis the 27th chapter. You'll be good with weaponry. So that's how they get land. That's how they get power and resources, through war. Through it's Amalek. So they put the Rothschilds in place. The Rothschilds end up turning the whole world into a bank system with money and taking all the resources out of the earth so they can control the people with finances, and they use the money to bankroll armies to take over. It's the same game they played way back when. They ruled through war. That's the seed of Esau. Look how Japheth is getting power. He's not getting power through his mental prowess. He's getting what you would call stature in the earth due to his understanding of war. That's how he's getting power. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 25. And there King Japheth went at their head and made war with Tubal and all the islands.
All the islands.
And they subdued them. And they returned from the battle. And when he returned from the battle, they renewed his government for him. And they built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat. And they made a large throne for him.
They made a large throne for Japheth. Why they don't teach about Japheth in history? He was great. They go straight to Alexander the Greek. There would be no Alexander the Greek if it wasn't for Japheth. That's Esau's grandson. He started it. Read.
And Japheth reigned over the whole land of Kittim and over the land of Italia.
Over the land of what?
Over the land of Italia 50 years.
And he ruled over the land of Italia for 50 years. That's Italy. That's Rome. That's Rome. See that? They want to hide this. They never thought that the children of Israel would figure this out. They want to hide under all these different fictitious names in the earth, then claim to be the Jews. When it's clear through history, through biblical history, that they are the seed of Esau. Now they're at the end of the world now. They have to finish this battle. They have to fulfill the promise of their father Esau to exterminate Jacob. That's what it's all about. Japheth had a spirit on him. He was non-stop. Every place he went, he wanted to link in with the armies to kill Jacob. And you know what? Through secret societies, they kept that going. Through bloodlines, they kept that promise of Esau going. They tell them, don't ever let the people know who we are, because they'll see us coming. They can think we're anybody. But if they know we're Esau, they'll go against us. They will go against us. And I want to put this out there because another thing is, when it comes to all the Edomites or the Caucasians, a lot of them have a different judgment than Amalek. A lot of them have a different judgment than Amalek, okay? And they really need to examine helping Amalek with anything. I want to get some scriptures on that. Examine before you help Amalek with anything, okay? Amalek is the Jewish people today, okay? Now, they are the people that are right now funding the divisions in the earth to keep rulership. They fund the white man against the black man thing. Okay? If you do history, we found out that it was the Jewish factions that financed and promoted the Ku Klux Klan and put them in the public arena for all the eyes can see. There was a video that was made early when moving pictures was made on the KKK. Who created moving pictures? Amalek, the Jewish people. So they wanted to fuel this racism. No sooner as the people started marching in civil rights, they got their hand in that. It took years before there was actually a black president over the NAACP. That was Jewish and government funded by the Jewish people. See, they fund both sides. And what they do is they screen what comes out media-wise from these groups. And they color them any way they want. They color them any way they want through the media. They own the media. And I'm saying this because we have to get over this thing where we're just battling each other because they want that. They want this thing. They created all these things. They created this thing with promoting homosexuality through the airwaves. They created that. They need these little divisions so that no one can pay attention to what they're doing. And I'm putting this out there for the people that are under the seeds of Esau. We're not teaching this to go against Edomites or to go against white people. We're not doing that because we showed in one video that if Esau followed the commands of Cornelius, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But there's one people of Esau that the Most High have a problem with, that's carrying on the plans of his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather Esau. And that's Amalek. That's Amalek. That's one race out of the Caucasians or the Europeans that are continually fighting against the Most High in Christ. And just bear with me for a little bit because I want to show this, the judgment on Amalek. Okay? I need you to get the book of Jasher 36 and 27. Since we're still in the book of Jasher.
Jasher, chapter 36, verse 27.
Go ahead.
And the children of Lotan were Hori, Heman, and their sister Timnah. That is Timnah, who came to Jacob and his sons, and they would not give heir to her. And she went and became a concubine to Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and she bare to him Amalek.
And she bare to him Amalek. Let's identify Amalek real quick. Go to chapter 81 in the book of Jasher, since we're there. We're just going to concentrate on, because I'm going to tell you, the biggest deception that these people play, especially the Jewish faction, is hiding themselves. That's their greatest power, to hide themselves so no one can identify what they're doing. They have you fighting over race and gender and all these things. And while you're doing this, they're sitting back controlling the earth, controlling the armies, and making a plan to kill all the people that are arguing against each other. wake up. So we have to identify them. The Bible says that son of perdition must be revealed. Go to chapter 81 and read 52, start at 52 and read down to 61. I have that. You got it? Okay, good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jasher, chapter 81, verse 52.
Go ahead.
And when the children of Israel were in Rephidim, Amalek the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, the brother of Japheth, came to fight with Israel.
So here's the brother of Japheth, Amalek, the son of Eliphaz. Now mind you, these are the firstborns. These are they that are keeping. Eliphaz was the firstborn of Esau. So they are continuing with that birthright. They're looking to rule. Here it is, Eliphaz, Zephon's brother, fighting against us again, fighting against us in the Bible. So we notice that when the same people that bankroll the Christian doctrine, which was the Jewish people, they tell you don't read the Old Testament. Stay away from the Old Testament. Read.
Verse 53.
Go ahead.
And he brought with him 801,000 men, magicians and conjurers, and he prepared for battle with Israel and Rephidim.
So now it shows you where they were using witchcraft and sorcery to fight against Israel. They do it today. What do you think they're doing over there in Israel today? Sorcery. Next to that rock, putting papers in there and putting things on their heads. And they're dealing with the Kabbalah. They're dealing with the same gods that their forefathers dealt with. Sorcery. They're not dealing with nothing when it comes to the laws of the Most High in the Torah. They're not dealing with none of that. They're dealing with straight sorcery.
4. And they carried on a great and severe battle against Israel. And the Lord delivered Amalek and his people into the hands of Moses and the children of Israel, and into the hand of Joshua, the son of Nun, the Ephrathite, the servant of Moses. And the children of Israel smote Amalek and his people at the edge of the sword. But the battle was very sore upon the children of Israel. And the Most High said to Moses, write this thing for as a memorial for thee in a book.
So the Most High told Moses, we need you to write this thing I'm about to tell you here for a memorial in this book. That means we can never forget what the Most High gave Moses here. Read the memorial.
And place it in the hand of Joshua, the son of Nun.
And make sure you pass this down to Joshua. Go ahead.
Thy servant. And thou shalt command the children of Israel, saying, when thou shalt come to the land of Canaan, thou shalt utterly efface the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
Read it again.
Thou shalt utterly efface the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
He told Moses, when Joshua go out there to fight to get that land, make sure there's not one left of Amalek. Now mind you, Amalek eventually escaped, and the Most High put that sanction on on Saul to go against Amalek. And Saul left one living. So when you see these battles and say, well, in the Old Testament, it's all bloody. That God, no, he understood that the Spirit was on Esau's children to destroy his people. That's what those wars are about. Amalek and Zepho was non-stop. They was trying to exterminate Israel in the Old Testament. They eventually infiltrated the Sanhedrin about 100 years before Christ came on the scene, and Herod was there, an Idumean, linked with the tribe of Dan, an Idumean, in place to kill Christ. So they lurked their way all the way into Israel, even before the Khazar Empire. But that's history we're going to go into a little later. At a later date. Read.
Verse 57. And Moses did so, and he took the book and wrote upon it these words, saying, remember what Amalek has done to thee in the road when thou wentest forth from Egypt.
Now this is what they did against us when we came out of Egypt. Read.
Verse 59. Who met thee in the road and smote thy rear, even those that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary.
So what they did was they would come behind the band. They knew the men was fighting up front. So Amalek would go in the back of the camp and slay the women, children, and elderly. So the Most High says, write this as a memorial, that we need these guys off the planet. We need them gone. Read.
Verse 60. Therefore it shall be when the Most High thy power shall have given thee rest from all thy enemies round about in the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee for an inheritance, to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
The Lord says to do what? To blot out the what?
Thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
So the Most High told Moses that make sure we make a memorial to blot out the remembrance of Amalek from the earth, period. No more remembrance of them, because what they was doing to us coming out of Egypt. So the curses is really against them. Not all the families was doing that. Amalek was the family that was coming behind the band and destroying the children of Israel, keeping the promise of his father Esau alive. Till this day, that's what he do. Infiltrate and destroy. Infiltrate and destroy. He's behind the sorcery when it comes to medicine out there. The vaccinations and all that, the eugenics program, Bill Gates and all of them. They're just doing it nice and smooth now, but nonetheless, they're still doing it. They're financing all the wars that are killing the people. Read on.
Verse 61. And the king who shall have pity on Amalek, or upon his memory, or upon his seed, behold, I will require it of him, and I will cut him off from amongst his people.
And that's what happened to Saul. He says, the king that forget this memorial that's set up, the king that forget this, I'm going to remember him and cut him off from being king, from my people. He says, listen, every king must remember Amalek. We don't want Amalek around. So you would never guess what king is going to fulfill this God's promise. Yes, Christ. Christ will fulfill this promise. He's the king that will come back and do what our kings could not do in the past. Now we understand why Amalek is adamant with this depopulation program. Talking about this global warming and all this other stuff as a pretext to destroy people. He understands that when the king come back, he will be totally blotted out. Now the other tribes of Esau will be in the kingdom to serve. But Amalek, there will not be one left. The Most High don't want one of them that are following the ways of Esau in the kingdom. Period. If you're following the Judaism doctrine and you are behind Israel, the Most High want no existence of these people in his kingdom. They're the people that took Israel by force. They're the people that are against the children of Israel and claiming to be Israel. If you believe and you are behind that doctrine, you are against the God of the Bible. What verse you left off at?
62.
I need you to stop there, and I need you to go to Numbers 24 and 20.
Numbers chapter 24 verse 20.
No, that's the same story in the book of Jasher. We don't have to regurgitate that. Let's go to
This is the prophecy of the land.
yeah.
Saying that they will perish forever. This is the prophecy
Yeah.
done in the end days.
That's in Numbers 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it. Numbers 24, and let's start at 21.
20.
At 20, yeah.
Numbers chapter 24 verse 20.
Still dealing with Amalek, which are the Jewish people today. Read.
And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he shall perish forever.
What do it mean, the first of the nations? Because we know that Amalek is from Esau. There was nations of Gentiles before he came here. When he says he's first of the nations, they are the family of Esau that are over all the nations of the earth. They're the people that established the UN. They are the people that established the UN. They're over all the nations of the earth. They paid for the UN building to be built. They are the first of all the nations. That means the Jewish people, or Amalek, is leading all the nations in the earth. Through what? Money. Money. Everyone is compromising with these guys. It's not that they want to be down with them, but if you don't believe in his ideologies, he cut you off. He cut you off. So he's controlling through the finances. Read it again.
Numbers chapter 24, verse 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations.
He was the first of the nations. That means he's over all the Gentiles. Read.
But his latter end shall be that he perish forever.
For how long?
Forever.
There will be not one left of the seed of Amalek. Not one. Why? Because there's something in them to continue that fight against Jacob. And he will eventually fight against Christ. It's that same family, the Rothschilds and their financial system, that is bankrolling the Sawtooth Vertical Trap and the space weapons program that's out in space right now, looking to fight against Christ. The same people. Read that last verse again.
Numbers chapter 24, verse 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations.
He was the first of the nations, read.
But his latter end shall be that he perish forever.
That he shall perish forever. Now I'm going to this because some people go into the book of Obadiah when it says the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. The mount means the peak or the top of the Edomites. The people that are leading the Edomites. It's talking about Amalek being destroyed forever. That's why the Most High put in the Old Testament, he put there a memorial to destroy and make sure there's nothing left of Amalek. Amalek, inheritance of Esau's firstborn blessing. He's the inheritance of Esau's blessing. So he believed that he should be the people. That's why out of all the tribes of the Edomites or Caucasians, they're the only people that claimed to be Israel and went over into Israel. They believe that it belongs to them. They really believe this. They believe that they were the firstborn, they came out first, and they're going to take what belongs to them as the firstborn. And it links right to Amalek. So now we understand why there's Caucasians in Israel today. The French are not claiming to be them, Israel, but these are the same people. The French are not claiming to be Jews. The Russians, a lot of them are the same family. You got the Germans, which are some of them are the same family, but there's a family of Amalek that kept their blood pure, that separate themselves even from the rest of the Caucasians. They make sure they keep their blood pure so that they can keep this promise that's passed down in masonry. That's passed down in masonry to continue the rulership of their father Esau's power in the earth. Go to 2 Kings 24 and 10. 2 Kings 24 and 10. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that's the one. Hold on.
What we saw.
Hold on. 24. The one where it links to Amalek.
When we saw supposed to kill them all.
2 Kings 24 and 10 through, hold on, let me get 25 and 11. Hold on. 1 second. Let's go to the book of Obadiah. The book of Obadiah. Book of Obadiah. One moment. Okay. Let's go to, you got it?
Mm-hmm.
The book of Obadiah. It's a little small book, those that want to follow us here. The book of Obadiah. And if you have your eastward, I'm going to give you a Greek number to look up on this particular chapter here. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start at the first verse.
Obadiah, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, saith the Most High God, concerning Edom.
So this is a prophecy concerning Edom. Now we know Edom are the modern day Europeans today. We know how they inhabited Europe. We understand that they were in Mount Seir before then. Then through Zepho, through a war, escaped and eventually got into Greece and became the ruler over their armies, and eventually took over those isles all off the Mediterranean, Spain and all those different areas, and led his brother in, took Italia and took Italy, which is Rome, and eventually ruled Europe. Okay? Now, hold up. There's one thing I want to show before I go into that. Now, let me read this. I'll go into that afterwards. Read it.
The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Most High God, concerning Edom.
Concerning Edom, read.
We have heard a rumor from the Most High, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
So it says, an ambassador is sent among the heathen, which are the Gentiles. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. That's a future prophecy. The ambassador was the Egyptian ambassador, Gumnunasser. He was the original ambassador of Egypt that stood up when the Jewish people went into Israel in 1948, had this campaign with cameras going as they was claiming to fulfill the prophecy of the Jews going back into Israel. But Gumnunasser stated, how can the Jews leave Israel black and come back white? So they started the Middle Eastern battles from that point on. Read.
And an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen.
It says, I have made thee small among the heathen. So when they came in this region, when they came into the Middle East, they're small compared to all the other Middle Easterns that are around them. But yet they try to be the bully and take over the Middle East, and they're the smallest out of all the Middle Easterns in the African countries. They're the smallest amongst the heathen. But yet they're trying to bully the Palestinians, bully all the other countries. Read.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised.
And they are greatly despised. They are greatly despised. How can you just come into a country and kill the people? And be bold enough to say, listen, this land belongs to me. They know this land don't belong to them, but they feel in their heart it does, because they were Esau, the firstborn. They feel in their heart that that promise that Isaac gave Jacob should have went to them. That's why they're in Israel today. Not because they are of the seed of Jacob. They're there because they felt that since they were the firstborn, they should have received it anyway. So they linked up with Satan, started worshiping Satan, so that they can get out in space, help Satan fight against the Most High and sit on the throne of the Most High, while Satan helped them get rulership and get the promise they felt they should have received from the beginning. Read.
Obadiah verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee.
And the Most High says, your pride have deceived you. Read.
Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock.
How can your pride deceive you when you wasn't too long ago in Mount Seir? You were in Mount Seir, so how can you be so proud right now? Read.
Whose habitation is high.
Whose habitation is high. Why? Because no landmass was promised to them. Esau was given the mountain terrain. Read.
That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
That's proud. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Read.
Verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. You will use your eagle as your emblem. And you look and examine the actions of an eagle. An eagle comes from on high and watches his prey. Who put satellites out in space to watch the people? You got Russia, which had the emblem eagle. You had Germany, which had the emblem eagle. You have Britain, you have America, the eagle. So they don't hide themselves. The Bible says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. Read.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars.
They're the people that financed space travel. Amalek. Though thou set thy nest among the stars, read.
Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Most High.
So when you go up in space, I will begin to bring you down. So it's a race. The clock started ticking. They're out in space now. They're fulfilling Satan's promise to go out with a throne at the throne of the Most High and be like the Most High and watch the earth. Now he's trying to go out in space to the side of the north where the Most High is. So now it's a race of time. Now the Most High must take them down because they're out in space now. They are fulfilling the ancient Babylonian building of the tower. That's what they're doing. They brought all languages together again. The tongues were split. They brought all languages together through the computer. And now they got the technology to go out in space and play God, to the point where they want to mark each man like the Most High have each man and woman watched, to be able to mark everybody in the earth and watch them and use Satan as their God to watch the whole earth like he's the Most High. Who's doing this? Who's helping Satan implement these programs in the earth and this technology? Who's paying? Who's bankrolling this system? You are waiting for an Antichrist, and the Antichrist is actually bringing forth the technology to implement the chip. It's not just one man. It's a system. It's a system. Though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Read.
Obadiah verse 5. If these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough?
So if thieves came to you by night, they would just steal a little bit of something. They won't steal everything. These people, I'm specifically pinpointing the Jewish powers because they financed the slave trades. They were behind the slave ships. They financed the plantations. See, what they do is they put their money in it and put other people there so it can mask the fact that they are doing everything. So they'll just put their money in it and set it up and just look on the side and have you blame other people while they're bankrolling our captivity. Okay? They went and got some poor people and put them on plantations. They emptied Europe, the prisons out of Europe, and sent them over to America, bankrolled them, so that you can blame it on other people besides them. If you track the money trail, you will know who's in power, you will know whose fault it is. You understand? And that's what they do. They just put their money behind something and stand on the side. so that you can't blame them, so you can't relate them to the problem. Read.
Obadiah verse 5.
It says, if thieves came to thee. Read.
If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off?
How art thou cut off? Read.
Would they not have stolen till they had enough?
Don't you have enough? Read.
If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
If a grape gatherer came to glean the grapes, he would leave some grapes for the poor. A matter of fact, if you are a Jew, in the law, that is a law. You just can't take all the fruit off the vines where the poor can't eat. They did that. They made everything. They put a price tag on everything so that the poor cannot eat freely. So if you are a Jew, why are you not following that law? Read.
Obadiah verse 6.
Come on.
How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?
This is how they're searched out. They thought they could hide. But this Bible is mighty. It breaks down all the key information. It identifies everyone and the purpose of everyone. Read.
Obadiah verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. That means all the people you were in league with are now against you. Look what's going on in the Middle East right now. This war is about to happen. Read.
The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee.
The men that was at peace with thee have deceived thee. Go ahead.
They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee.
And the same people that have eaten your bread have now laid a wound under you. Okay? It was okay when you were the only people with the atom bomb. This is what they don't tell people. They make everyone think that, okay, it's just America. America would not have had the technology of the atom bomb if it wasn't for the Germans or Europe splitting the atom and creating the atom bomb. They just use America to do it. But they're together. Who financed the atom bomb? Einstein and all these different scientists. Who are they? Are they not Amalek? Are they not Jewish people? So they make everyone... You understand? So they use the atom bomb, and then everybody point to America. Oh, America got missiles, but who created them and gave them to America? Read.
Obadiah, verse 7.
Come on.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
There's none understanding. So don't try to reason with them. They have an agenda, and if your reasoning do not fit their agenda, they'll just throw it out. It doesn't matter how valid your reasoning is. There's no reasoning with them. Okay? If they tell you it's global warming, even though you know there's no proof of that, there's global warming. Know what that means? You have to die. Not enough people for the earth, so I'm sorry, we're going to have to make sure that, we kill you off so that the earth can survive. And mind you, the people that are coming up with this agenda are not putting themselves in the equation of those that get exterminated. I mean, if you're saying that the earth must be depopulated for the sake of the earth, if that's what you're bringing forth, why don't you start with yourself? That would be a good place to start if you feel there's too many people, instead of trying to kill everyone else. Read on.
Obadiah, verse 8.
Read it.
Shall I not in that day, saith the Most High, even destroy the wise men of Edom?
The Most High says he will destroy the wise men out of Edom. That's not all the Edomites. The wise men are Teman, or the Germans. That's the family of the Edomites which were used for their wisdom. Read.
And understanding out of the mount of Esau.
Out of who?
Out of the mount of Esau.
Out of the mount of Esau. Now I'm going to get the Hebrew word for mount. The Hebrew word for mount means a part of. So it's not the whole Esau. It says, and this number you can get is 4480 in the Hebrew. Okay? And it says from, in, or it says neither or over. Over. So these are the Edomites that are over the rest of the Europeans. Who are they? The Jewish people. Amalek. The memorial the Most High made against them in the book of Jasher and in the Bible. He told Moses to make a memorial that none of these can be left. So because the God of Israel said this, they're trying to do in the reverse. Okay, the Most High God wanted to destroy us when Israel was set up as a power. Now we're set up, we're going to destroy his people. So they're trying to reverse the prophecies. Now none of this is being talked about. You have all these conspiracy theorists out there who know what's going on, who can talk about the Rothschilds, who can break down the mark of the beast that's coming. But they cannot equate it to God's people and what's really going on, because they don't want to relate God's people to the people written of in the book. So they can't piece it all together. So they have it in fragments. They have it in fragments. But the key thing is to look at the people they are destroying. Look at the people they're aiming the eugenics program against. They know who we are. They know who we are. Finish reading.
Obadiah verse 9. And thy mighty men, O Teman.
And thy mighty men, O Teman, those are the Germans. Teman went into the areas of Germany. Read.
And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed. To the end, everyone out of the mount of Esau
Out of the what?
Out of the mount of Esau.
Out of the mount of Esau. Those are them that are over the Edomites. They are the Jewish powers that are practicing sorcery today over in Israel. Shall be what?
To the end that everyone out of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
May be cut off by slaughter. Why? It's going to tell you the next verse. Read.
Verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob. Now, we just read earlier in the Old Testament when we came out of Egypt, Amalek used to come behind us and kill our women and children and the elderly. Read.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee.
Shame shall cover you. Read.
And thou shalt be cut off forever.
How long is forever? Now call the Bible a liar. Call God a liar. For what they did, the Most High going to deal with Amalek. I don't care who they hide themselves under. They can hide themselves under Japheth. They can hide themselves under anyone they want. But the Most High know who you are. We know who you are. We know. You can't hide. The Most High gave this information to his people in the last days to liberate them. There's going to be a remnant, a small remnant that will be left after your depopulation program that will fulfill the promise of Jacob. Yes. We will fulfill the promise, because guess what? When the Most High word go out, it don't come back void. He will give the promise to his people. Okay? Read on.
Verse 11. And the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. So
they went into Jerusalem and started casting lots. How can you go into Israel and sell a land that's not yours? Go into the Israel and start selling lands. Okay? And these Gentiles, they better wake up. All these other nations, y'all better wake up. These nations are being used by the Jewish factions and powers. Look at Barack Obama. Look at what he's doing. In order for him to get the seat, he had to go before injury. Now he's supposed to be a so-called Jew now, by birth. He goes into Jerusalem and put a wreath on a Holocaust victim's grave. And bow before the Jewish people to show them his allegiance to finish their New World Order. When you could have put a wreath on the children and the men and women that were hanged in America. Where was your wreath for them? Read on.
Obadiah verse 11. and the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem.
And they cast lots upon Jerusalem, read.
Even thou was one of them.
And they was one of them. They was a part of our destruction in Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. But they know, according to the Bible, we can identify them. This history is vast. We can't even go into all the information we have tonight on this. They infiltrated. They became the Caesars. All 12 Caesars were them. Okay? They was during the time of John Hycrates. They was actually during the time Antiochus Epiphanes. All these were they. It tell you in Josephus that they slayed all the mighty men under the Maccabees after the Maccabean period and left 2 Jews left over the Sanhedrin. The rest was Jewish people. The rest was Amalek that infiltrated our council and was responsible for the death of Jesus Christ. Our people were just following along, but it was them that was behind killing him. That's why in St. John 8:44, Christ says, ye are of your father the devil. The lust of your father ye will do. You were a murderer from the beginning. To let you know that those that killed Christ was dealing with the spirit of Cain. What was Cain known for? Killing his brother Abel. What are they known for? Killing their brother Jacob. Wake up. Read on.
Obadiah chapter 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother and the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah and the day of their destruction.
The day that we fell in 70 AD by the Romans, which were them too. The day we fell, they rejoiced. They were happy. They were happy when we fell in 70 AD. You notice that 70 AD, that history is seldomly talked about on your history channels. They seldomly talk about that history of 70 AD when the real Jews were taken down by Rome. Why? Because if you look into it, you will see the paths they ran into. They ran into Atlas, into Africa, and hid in Africa. They seldom talk about the destruction of 70 AD. That whole time, this battle, the battles that are going on against the children of Israel to stop us from getting the promise. We may be poor now, but our promise is right around the corner. We're right there. We're right there where the hand is on Esau's foot. We're this close, and they know it. They know it. You know, can you imagine how much money been put out, been spent during the ages to keep this information you're seeing away from you? You have any idea how much they have paid religious institutions and college institutions to keep this information from you? Bankrolling faith-based programs, bankrolling institutions. It's only through the power of the Most High that the Most High put the Spirit on people in these last days that will actually read information that you had no idea existed. Finish reading Obadiah. We're going to finish up.
Obadiah verse 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother and the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah and the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity.
The Lord says you were not supposed to enter into the gate of his people. Now, if you want to know, that shows you right there they're not the real Jews. What people entered into the gates of Jerusalem? Who's in Jerusalem today? What people are in Jerusalem today? God's people were taken down in the Old Testament. They were scattered and were dejected and went into captivity according to the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So they dared go into the land. They had taken the promises of Esau. They're taking the promises. It's like they feel that we are the firstborn. We came out first, so we're going to take, but we're just going to change history. And we're going to fight against the God of all gods to stop him from giving the kingdom to his people. Read.
Verse 13. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
You should not have taken their substance. All that gold and silver and all that was in Solomon's temple, all our riches, they took that. They took that. Read.
Verse 14. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape.
And they stood in the crossway to try to cut off those that escaped. That happened in the Old Testament when we came out of Egypt. Read.
Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
So the people that was in the day of distress, that means in 70 AD, they was part of the Romans taking us down in our distress. They was giving the Romans information on how to take us down. Was bankrolling our destruction. Okay, even though we have forgotten who we are, they know who we are. That's the reason for Masonry and the secret societies. They have this history. They know exactly who we are and what our purpose is. And they know that through Christ, we're going to take this kingdom. They know this. Read.
Verse 15. For the day of the Most High is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done.
It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Our Christ is about to come judge. I thank the Most High. And you know what? We wish our forefathers, we wish our grandfathers would have had an opportunity to see the information we see now. We're in that time. You notice that there's no secret that can't be revealed now. We're in that time. Read.
For the day of the Most High is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. It shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head.
And thy reward shall return upon your own head. You're going to reap what you sow. Read.
Verse 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been.
That's clear. That's the Bible. Now, you know what? It's clear. There's no way you can teach the Christian doctrine they teach today and have you read the Old Testament. So they say, listen, just tell people, just read about Jesus. Okay? Jesus was sent by this God right here, or who you call Jesus. His name is Yeshua, Savior. He was sent by this God that we're reading of right here. This is the judgment he will execute. Read.
Verse 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
So one day we will possess their possessions, fulfilling Genesis 25. The elder shall serve the younger. Read.
Verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph as a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau.
There shall not be many remaining of the house of Esau. That's scripture. Any remaining of that house. Read.
For the Most High have spoken it.
For who have spoken it?
For the Most High have spoken it.
Now again, we made it clear that when you look at Cornelius and the teachings of Cornelius and link that to Acts 15 and 14 and the book of Amos 9 and 11, that there is a remnant of Edom and the heathen which are called by the Most High's name that will be spared to serve in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? And those are they that follow the true gospel of Christ. Not that stuff we're seeing in the churches today that's leading people to paganism. You must follow the true gospel. You must put down your heathenistic ways. You must put down your heathenistic customs and follow the God of the Hebrews. and follow Christ in spirit and in truth. Not the pagan Christ they put up. Not the pagan Christ that links back to Isis and Osiris, that links back to Semiramis and Nimrod. You must take all your idols. If you got crosses or statues, take them and throw them out of your house. And you must now learn from the servants of the Most High. You must learn from the people that were set up to be true teachers and servants of Israel. Okay? That means your Jimmy Swaggart, your Haggees, your Osteens. You must totally walk away from those guys. They don't know what they're talking about. Read on.
Verse 19. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim.
It tell you 19, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines. Read.
And they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead.
So that's letting you know that there will be remnants of the Gentiles left to serve. That's if they follow the true God. If they follow the Jewish people, they're going to have the judgment of those people. Those people are not Israel. They're not the seed of the people written of in the Bible. Jewish people are not people in the Bible. Jewish people are converts. Gentiles who converted into Judaism. You can't turn people into a religion. It's impossible. It's ridiculous. So these people are not the people written of in the Bible. They infiltrated the Pharisees. And they are responsible for the slaughter of the disciples. They are responsible for the slaughter of Christ. It's those people. And Christ is not going to forget them. When you get a chance on your own time, read Revelations 19 and read the book of Isaiah 63. Read on.
Verse 20. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. And the saviors shall come up upon Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau.
Read that again.
And the saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau.
And you notice it says saviors, plural. That's Christ, and that's his heavenly host. That's his saints. It says, and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau. So how can Esau be exterminated if they're being judged in the very end? That's common sense. Read.
And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Most High's.
And the kingdom shall be the Most High's at that time. Right now, the kingdom